Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of a very interesting little timepiece. This little guy right here. This is the Citizen BM8180, and I'm sure there are other letters and numbers. I'll put them down below. But I've had my eye on this guy for a while because it's an inexpensive offering from Citizen with pretty heavy feature set, and finally had a chance to pick one up used, and so I did. But before we go any further into the review, size comparison real quick. Right here, Casio F91W, and right here, Casio F108. Both good budget watches. This one's a little pricier, but a little better in some meaningful ways. Right here is a standard US quarter, so you can see this is not a big watch whatsoever, and we'll compare it against a watch that is a big watch whatsoever, the Omega Planet Ocean 9800. My personal everyday carry watch, and of course, Spyderco Delica for size comparison. So there you go, and then a couple of quick measurements for you guys, and metric, because that's the thing in watches. It looks like the side-to-side distance here is about 41, or I'm sorry, is about 36, and about 40 if you include the crown on there. So very, very small, and your lug to lug, or your lug spacing looks to be 18 millimeters, and then your lug-to-lug distance comes out at about 45. So again, small watch. Thank God there are still small watches out there in the world. So let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this particular timepiece. Okay, so on the good side, first off, I appreciate deeply that this is not a huge watch. In a world where so often watches are dinner plates, that's the fashion these days, they have made a watch here which is relatively small, which is relatively thin, coming in about a centimeter here. I mean, seriously, look at the comparison. It makes this guy ridiculous, which it is, but that's beside the point. And, you know, it's something that kind of disappears on your wrist, and I like that very much. If you're a big guy with big wrists, that may even be a problem for you, but this, for me, is pretty damn good on there. I mean, here, I'll show it on the wrist here. Yeah, that's right. Nice. So that's good. Next thing, this is a pretty subtle watch. It's not too flashy. You've got a little bit of sparkle. You can see there's a little bit of polishing around the bezel there. But overall, somebody's going to look at this on your wrist and they're just going to think, oh, it's a watch. It's very tool watchy. It's not flashy. It's not, oh my God, you know, Rolex. It's its own little thing. So that's kind of a nice aspect to it. It is also a very legible watch. I mean, you can see pretty quickly from pretty much any angle what time it is. And this is partly because the hands are loomed, which gives you these little white portions here, which contrast against the black dial. And the other thing is you'll see that the hands are reflective, which helps to, in low light situations, make the watch extra visible. So readability on this guy is very, very nice, and I appreciate that very much. Accuracy is excellent. You're looking at 0.2 seconds a day because this is using a quartz movement, and quartz generally means great accuracy, so that's really solid. Actually, it's got some nice features to it, the biggest of which being right here. This guy, this is a day-date watch, and it has quick set for both the day. If you go to the first position here and you start twisting, it goes to Spanish, and then the next day, and it has quick set for date. Oh, I'm sorry, I just needed to go the other direction. There we go. Oh, now it's going to be Monday. That's fine. Monday already. And anyways, but you can adjust the date very quickly if your watch happens to go out of battery. So that's a really nice feature, and at least for me, having date on there is a beautiful thing, 100%, because it's easy for me to get temporarily discombobulated, lose track of the day, even lose track of the day of the week, because, I got problems. But still, that's a nice thing. The movement itself is pretty good, too. It's an eco-drive movement by Citizen, which means it's solar-powered, which is very nice. You don't have to replace the batteries on this. There's a capacitor that might go in 10 years or something like that. But the thing is, you don't have to worry about it in the meantime, and that's great. It's also got all the other nice features like the quick set I was just showing you. It hacks, so you pull it out, second-hand stops, etc. It's a good movement. Can't really argue with it there. And the fact that this is solar, despite not looking terribly solar, is a nicety, especially for a watch you may not wear all the time. Next thing, the durability on this watch is pretty good. You've got yourself all metal construction. Everything but the strap on this watch, and obviously the glass, is metallic. So this is going to take hits. It's going to be able to polish out if you need to. It's a nice little thing there. You've also got yourself a crown guard, this little area here, which means that if you hit a glancing blow, like you hit a doorknob or something, it'll bounce off of the crown guard and kind of go up around the crown rather than just chopping the crown right off. off, which is a nice thing very much. And also, speaking of durability, this is water resistant. That WR100 means 100 meters worth of water resist, and that's really all you need in most circumstances. So this is fine in the shower, it's fine in the pool, although we'll talk about the strap in a bit here. So durability-wise, you don't have to worry about this watch on your wrist. It's going to be freaking okay. Finishing-wise, it's also fine. Like I said, you got some nice little areas of polish. You've got a nice polish around the bezel here. The hands themselves have a little bit of polish to them, which is nice. The sides of the case have some polish. The back of it is very much polishy here, and actually very much pretty. And overall, nice. Can't complain with it there. Then finally, the last thing on the good side for me is the lume. So I'm going to use this big old flashlight here and just charge the lume right off camera. And then I'll show you what I'm talking about. A very, very common issue with inexpensive watches is that the lume is terrible. It's tragically bad. Maybe it glows for a couple of seconds and then stops. The thing is, and I know this isn't inexpensive at $100, but for watches, that's kind of towards the lower end. The thing is, though, the lume on this guy is solid. You can see here that the hour markers are lumed, as are the hour hand and the minute hand, as well as the second hand, which is nice. The hour markers do fade away after a little while, but the thing is, the lume on the hands is thick and it's strong, so all night long it's going to work just fine, and once your eyes are adjusted, you can usually still pick up on the hour markers too. So, you know what? This is fine lume. It's even good lume, I would go so far as to say. And so to find that here was a very nice surprise, and is a wonderful, wonderful thing, because I do love me some lume. So that to me is the good here. The lume is good. The finishing on the watch is fine overall. It's got nice durability. It's a solar-powered eco-drive movement. You've got a day-date feature with quick set, good accuracy, good legibility. It's a very subtle watch for travel and otherwise, doesn't scream money, and it's thin and it's small, freaking finally. Let's talk about what's great here. Okay, so on the great side, the price on these is very, very low. If you buy directly from Citizen, you can buy it for about $130. If you go through an authorized dealer, you might get that down to $120, $110. And if you're willing to just buy from random places on the internet, you can probably get something like $80 off of these. And that's not a bad price whatsoever. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is quite a value, because you're getting solar power, good accuracy, good features, good finish, good lume, and just an overall functionally excellent watch for a very, very inexpensive price. And for analog watches, that's kind of hard to find. So I very much like that, and I think the price is actually a bargain. This is a very nice watch for the amount of money you get, and then I think it's above the value curve a little bit, which is excellent. Let's talk about what's bad. Okay, so on the bad side, first off, I gotta say these are all pretty much nitpicks, so keep that in mind. There's mostly good here. First off, the field watch style here is something you gotta consider. I mean, it is not it's not gonna be as comfortable in the boardroom as it is gonna be in the great outdoors, so keep your fashion and style in mind. Next thing, I was just saying that the size is great, and I say that as a guy with 6.5-inch wrists. The thing is, it's borderline a little bit small by modern fashion standards, even for me. So if you are a guy rocking huge old tree trunk wrists, this is not going to be the watch for you. Keep that one in mind, or at least try it on first. Next thing, this guy has a mineral crystal rather than sapphire. At this price point, I'm okay with that. Mineral crystal is just going to scratch up a little bit more readily than sapphire. It's not plastic, it's not going to just be a total train wreck, but at the same time, you will face a little bit more possibility of scratching than you will with the sapphire. So, yeah, that's what you get when you move further up the price range. Out of the way there. Next thing, I don't love the partially skeletonized hands. What you can see here is that there's kind of an area that's cut out in each hand rather than filled in with lume, and to me that's a little bit of a legibility foul, and it reduces the amount of lume on the hands. Look, it's a fashion thing. But I don't tend to love skeletonized hands. I've had them on a couple of watches now, and each time I always find myself wishing that last part was filled in, just so it would be a little more readable. Then finally, the band on this watch is kind of weird, because on the top it looks like it's just a good old-fashioned, canvas strap. But then you flip it over, bam, this is leather. Or at least some kind of leathery-looking substance here. And so they've taken this canvas strap and they've coated it with leather, and that's probably good for overall comfort, but the thing is, it's bad for overall water resistance. It's not a great choice necessarily, and also, because they're using this, kind of stacked sort of arrangement, they need these very big rivety sorts of holes, which gives you surprisingly few adjustments, which is kind of strange in and of itself. So I really do wish that they had kept this as a canvas band to allow it to be a little more water happy, or they just done something a little bit different with it. It's not the end of any worlds, but at least for me, if I were to wear this watch on a regular basis, step one would probably be to find another band. It's a very easy, standard lug size, so it's not a big deal. You can swap these out straightforwardly, but still. I'm not a huge fan of the way that they did the band. So to me, that's what's bad here, is that the band is a little bit weird, both with these big old rivets here, which give you less adjustment than you might like, and with the combined canvas and leather approach that minimizes water resistance. The skeletonized hands, I don't love. The mineral crystal, at this price is okay, but it's going to be a little scratchier. It's a little small for me, so it's going to be really small for a lot of people, and the field watch style is not for everybody. So there you go. Let's talk about the ugly. Actually, wait a second. No, there's nothing ugly here. I mean, sure, the style's not for everybody, but, it's pretty good. See, I get used to talking about ugly. But, yeah, so the ugly is not a damn thing. Let's go into your final conclusion instead. Look, final conclusion, I really like this watch, but in some ways it makes me sad and angry and confused. Let me explain. I recently wore this watch on a trip. It was my only watch for a 5-day trip or so. And, normally I wear very fancy stuff, Omegas and weird stuff like that, when I'm not reviewing something else. But the thing is, this was a really stellar watch. It was a great companion for me. It was everything that I needed because it checked all the boxes. It was water resistant. It had good lume. It was solar powered accuracy, good day, date, movement, psi accuracy. I mean, sure, I have other things that I might want out of a watch, but this absolutely met all of my needs. And on a better strap, functionally speaking, this could easily be my only watch. And this makes me sad and angry and confused because it reminds me that the only reason I'm wearing anything different and way more expensive is for style and more realistically for craziness, because I'm a freaking nut job. And the excellent and the most depressing part of it is that it does all of that for under $100 at some places, maybe 100 or so. And that's really freaking incredible price-wise. And again, why am I paying so much more money for watches that are functionally... Anyways, so, I mean, rant aside here, given the functional excellence of this watch at a really great price, this is a great piece, and it is absolutely a freaking gem. This is a really, really, really nice little watch here. And the thing is, it is now my go-to analog watch to recommend in the $80 to $250 range. Once you break $250, you can start to do better in terms of your eco drives, in terms of finishing style, get nicer bracelets, things like that. And you're also getting into the territory where a good Seiko mechanical could serve you really well. But as it is, this is a stellar functional piece. And so, I mean, in summary, the BM8180 here is subtle, it's durable, it's functional, it's featureful, and it's accurate. And although this might not be all the watch that you want, there's a pretty damn good chance that this is all the watch that you need. So, if you're interested, I think you should absolutely give this one a shot. So there you go. Hope this has been interesting, that you enjoyed watching this review and you had a good time. But mostly, I hope that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day and of your date. Bonus pun. All right. Bye now.